A homeless woman, dirty and ignored by everyone, finds a suitcase stuffed with money thrown in an alley in New York. As she imagines her luck has changed, she is approached by a frail millionaire on the brink of death who makes an unusual and transformative proposal. He is willing to hand over his entire fortune, but in exchange, she must do something that could change her life forever. Her decision could mean redemption or disaster. Rachel, 38 years old, lost everything after a series of misfortunes, including the death of her husband and struggles with alcohol. Now, she lives on the streets of New York, trying to survive the cold and indifference. On a cold night in the city alley, with people hurrying down the streets and the distant sound of honking, Rachel is crouched in a corner, huddled under old newspapers, waiting for the night to pass. Rachel murmuring to herself, "Just one more night. I just need to survive one more night." As she adjusts herself, her eyes find an old suitcase thrown in a dark corner of the alley. Curious and desperate, she unzips it with trembling hands and discovers stacks of $100 bills. Her heart races and her mind fills with possibilities. Rachel, looking around anxious. This can't be real. This can't be happening to me. However, before she can run off with the suitcase, a black limousine pulls up next to her. The rear door slowly opens and a pale, frail man, about 70 years old, is helped out by a driver. He is Benjamin Harrington, a millionaire known for his risky investments and colossal fortune. He carries an air of mystery and deep sadness. Benjamin, with a hoarse voice, "It seems you found something that belongs to me, young lady." Rachel, clutching the suitcase tightly, freezes and doesn't know what to say. But what he says next will shake the course of her life forever. Benjamin, giving a slight smile, "I'm dying, and I need you for something that no one else can do for me." Rachel stares at the old millionaire cautiously, gripping the suitcase tightly as if she might flee at any moment. The cold night wind blows between the buildings and tension rises in the air. Rachel, suspicious. "What do you want from me? If this suitcase is yours, why shouldn't I run right now?" Benjamin lets out a short laugh, interrupted by a coughing fit. He gestures to the driver, who helps him sit on a nearby bench. Benjamin gasping, "Run where? You live on the streets, don't you? I know more about you than you think, Rachel." The mention of her name makes Rachel step back, eyes wide with surprise and fear. How does he know who she is? Rachel, nervous, "How do you know my name? Are you following me? Is this some kind of trap?" Benjamin calmly, "No, Rachel. I just did a little research. I needed someone like you. And fate seems to have done its part by placing you and this suitcase in the same place tonight." Rachel remains silent, her eyes shifting between Benjamin and the suitcase full of money. Part of her wants to run and never look back, but another part wants to understand what he really wants. Benjamin, seriously and slowly, "I'm dying, young lady. I have days, maybe weeks if I'm lucky. I have no heirs, and I don't want to simply donate my fortune to some greedy institution. So here is my proposal." Benjamin pauses, allowing each word to carry weight. Benjamin, straightforwardly, I will give you everything, the suitcase and much more, all my money, but in return, you need to pretend to be my daughter in my final days." Rachel stares at him, perplexed, trying to figure out if this is some kind of grim joke. Rachel, somewhat incredulously, "Your daughter?" Benjamin, nodding. Nodinai, I need you to act as my estranged daughter and take care of me while I'm alive. I'll teach you to navigate a world that has never been yours, and when I'm gone, everything will be yours. Every cent. Rachel shakes her head, confused and tormented by doubts. What seemed like a blessing, finding that suitcase, has now become an unexpected crossroad. Rachel, skeptically. And how do I know this isn't just crazy talk? How do I know you won't leave me with nothing in the end? Benjamin hands her a sealed envelope with bank documents and proof of transfers of millions of dollars. Benjamin, seriously, my fortune is real, and all of it can be yours, but there's one condition. You can't abandon the role until the end. Until I die. The air feels heavy around them. Rachel's heart pounds in her chest. A new life is within her reach, but at the cost of living a colossal lie. Rachel hesitantly. And what happens if someone finds out I'm not your daughter? Benjamin smiles enigmatically. Benjamin. Well, we'll just have to be very careful to ensure that never happens, won't we? In the following days, Rachel is taken to Benjamin Harrington's immense mansion, located in an upscale area of New York. She trades the cold streets for luxurious carpets and ornate ceilings. However, the tension rises as she gets used to the role of the lost daughter of a millionaire. Every encounter with employees, lawyers, and associates makes her feel like she's walking on thin ice. Rachel, whispering to herself in the mirror, nervous. You can do this, Rachel. Just smile and talk little. No one needs to know. Over time, Rachel discovers that Benjamin is not just a lonely and sick man. He also has many enemies and people interested in taking advantage of his fortune. During a formal dinner, he introduces her officially as his daughter Rebecca Harrington, missing for years and now finally reconciled with him in the last moments of his life. Benjamin, raising a glass of wine, to family. Even when we reunite at the end, love always finds a way. The guests smile, but Rachel senses suspicious glances. Among them is Elliot, a distant nephew of Benjamin, who always believed he would inherit his uncle's fortune. His cold eyes analyze her throughout the dinner. Elliot, forcing a smile, So, Rebecca, tell me, where have you been all these years? Rachel tries to maintain her composure. Rachel, trying to evade Elliot. Here and there. It wasn't easy, and I'd rather not talk much about it. Benjamin notices the tension and interrupts the conversation. Benjamin, joking but firm. Come on, Elliot, give the girl a break. Not everyone likes talking about the past, especially when it's been tough. Rachel exhales in relief, but she knows Elliot won't give up so easily. And he's right. If her scheme is discovered, she could lose everything, or worse. One night, while alone in the guest room, Rachel finds a sealed letter in an old drawer. It's a will from Benjamin written many years ago. The letter reveals a secret no one knew. Benjamin did have a daughter named Rebecca, but she died at the age of 10 in a tragic accident. Since then, Benjamin has lived with guilt, regret, and a loneliness that consumed him entirely. Rachel, murmuring to herself, half in shock, "So that's it. I'm not just a substitute. I'm the daughter he never managed to save." The discovery shakes her emotionally. She realizes Benjamin doesn't just want a caregiver. He wants redemption, and for that, he is willing to believe in the lie he created. Even knowing the truth, Rachel feels she can't abandon him now. After all, he is the only person who has treated her as someone important in a long time. The next morning, as Benjamin sleeps, Rachel heads to the kitchen and encounters Elliot, seemingly waiting for her. Elliot, now smiling slyly. "You found out the secret, didn't you? I saw you snooping through the drawers. Now tell me, how much is he paying you for this scam?" Rachel swallows hard, trying to stay calm. Rachel speaking firmly. "He trusts me, and unlike you, I don't want his money." Elliot sarcastically. "Of course not. That's why you're living in luxury now, isn't it? But know this, sweetheart, when he dies, I will destroy you." Rachel feels a chill run through her veins. Elliot not only knows she isn't Benjamin's daughter, but he's willing to ruin any chance she has of inheriting the fortune. Rachel begins living under constant pressure. Now she must not only uphold the lie for Benjamin, but also avoid being exposed by Elliot. Every conversation, glance, or gesture feels like a predator waiting to pounce. Meanwhile, Rachel and Benjamin's relationship grows unexpectedly strong. Between chess sessions and long talks by the fireplace, Rachel starts to see Benjamin not just as a wealthy, lonely man, but as someone broken by life's choices and losses, someone very much like her. Benjamin, with a dry cough, speaking softly. "You know, Rachel, I always imagined what it would be like to see my daughter grow up, to imagine what she would have become." Rachel feels a lump in her throat, struggling with the guilt growing inside her. With every word from Benjamin, the lie becomes heavier to bear. Rachel, lowering her voice. "I'm not a good person, Benjamin. I've done horrible things." Benjamin smiles gently and takes her hand. "Benjamin, we've all done things we're not proud of. We aren't defined by our past, but by the choices we make now." These words touch her deeply. For the first time, Rachel begins to believe she can change her destiny, that maybe she deserves a second chance. One day, Benjamin's condition suddenly worsens, and he is rushed to the hospital. Rachel accompanies him, holding his hand during the ride. In the hospital room, as he struggles to breathe, he looks at her with weak eyes, but with a sense of peace. Benjamin, smiling happily. "Thank you for being here, Rebecca." Tears stream down Rachel's face. The lie has become so real that she can no longer distinguish what is true and what is not. Perhaps, at that moment, she truly is the daughter he always wanted by his side. However, the peace is interrupted when Elliot arrives at the hospital with a lawyer and a nurse. He points at Rachel with a triumphant expression. Elliot coldly. "It's the end of the line, Rebecca. Everyone here will know who you really are." The nurse and lawyer begin questioning her identity. The pressure is unbearable, and Rachel feels everything about to collapse. Rachel, softly to Benjamin, "I'm sorry. I couldn't be what you needed." As the doctors move Rachel aside to stabilize Benjamin, the old millionaire makes one last effort and grabs the nurse's arm with surprising strength for a man near death. Benjamin, authoritatively, "She's my daughter, and anyone who says otherwise won't inherit a single cent of my money." Everyone is shocked, especially Elliot, who loses his smirk instantly. Rachel stares at Benjamin, tears returning in full force. Rachel whispering softly, "Why did you do that?" Benjamin smiling weakly, "Because I choose to believe, and that's all that matters." Benjamin is stabilized by the doctors, but everyone knows his time is running out. That night, Rachel returns to the mansion alone, her mind flooded with thoughts. The lie she has lived has reached its limit. Benjamin accepted her as his daughter, but can she accept this new version of herself? As she walks through the silent halls of the mansion, Elliot appears, furious and unhinged. He grabs her arm, his face twisted with rage. Elliot shouting angrily, "This isn't over. You think you're going to inherit everything. I swear I'll destroy you." Rachel tries to break free, but Elliot shoves her against the wall. He pulls out an envelope, revealing documents that expose her as an imposter, a complete dossier on her past of homelessness, arrests, and addictions. Elliot grinning cruelly. "I've got everything I need to expose you. The moment he dies, you go back to the streets, just like the beggar you've always been." Rachel feels despair rising inside her. Everything she's fought for, every sacrifice, every moment with Benjamin is about to be destroyed by Elliot. She realizes she has to make a choice. Run and leave everything behind, or fight for the new life she's built. Rachel firmly, "I'm not running, Elliot. You can't take this away from me." Elliot laughs, throwing the papers to the ground. Elliot confidently, "It's too late. The truth always comes out, and you're nothing but a lie." At that moment, Benjamin's personal lawyer appears at the door, interrupting the confrontation. He holds a new will in his hands and speaks. "Lawyer, I need to inform everyone. Mr. Harrington made a final amendment to his will this afternoon. Rachel, you are the sole heir to his entire fortune." Elliot stands frozen, his anger turning to disbelief. Elliot yelling furiously, "This is a scam. He was manipulated." Lawyer calmly, "His decision was clear and legally documented." Rachel locks eyes with Elliot for a long moment, finally realizing that he no longer has power over her. She doesn't need to prove anything to him. Benjamin made his choice, and now it's up to her to decide what to do with it. Later that night, Rachel receives a call from the hospital. Benjamin is in his final moments. She rushes to the hospital, her heart pounding, knowing she cannot let him die alone. When she arrives at his room, she finds Benjamin breathing heavily, but with his eyes open, waiting for her. Benjamin smiling softly. "I knew you'd come, Rebecca." Rachel holds his hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. Rachel sobbing, "I'm so sorry for everything. I was never the daughter you wanted." Benjamin makes one final effort to squeeze her hand. Benjamin whispering faintly, "You were everything I needed." With one last breath, Benjamin passes away peacefully, a gentle smile lingering on his lips. Rachel stays by his side, feeling devastated and at the same time relieved. The lie that began as a fraud transformed into a deep emotional truth, a truth that even blood ties couldn't define. The next day, news of Benjamin Harrington's death spreads throughout New York. Rachel is now officially the heir to his fortune, shocking journalists, lawyers, and business people. Headlines speak of the incredible twist, a lost daughter no one knew about, emerging to care for the millionaire in his final moments. Elliot, ruined and unable to contest the will, is forced to abandon any legal action. He loses everything, left with only a small sum that barely covers his debts. As the world buzzes with talk of the unexpected heir, Rachel faces her final dilemma: what to do with the new life she has gained. She walks through the halls of Benjamin's mansion one last time, feeling the weight of the journey she has lived. The wealth and luxury now within her reach no longer hold the same meaning they once did. In the office, Rachel sits in the leather chair where Benjamin used to sit, She opens the suitcase full of money she found in the alley and stares at the stacks of bills for a long moment. The money that once seemed like her only way out now feels like just paper. Suddenly, she makes a decision. She grabs a notepad and quickly writes something at the top of the page: the Harrington Institute. Rachel, thinking aloud to herself, "If he believed I could be someone better, then that's what I'll be." Days later, Rachel gathers the lawyers and announces that most of Benjamin's fortune will be used to establish a charitable foundation aimed at helping the homeless and those struggling with addiction rebuild their lives, just as she did. Lawyer, surprised, "Are you certain about this, Ms. Harrington? There will still be a significant amount left for you." Rachel, smiling softly, at peace with her choice. "I only need enough to live in peace. The rest, it has to mean something greater than me." At the inauguration of the Harrington Institute, Rachel gives a brief speech. She looks at the audience and sees faces similar to the one she once had. People who lost everything but still hold hope for a new beginning. Months later, Rachel is invited to a prestigious charity event where the Harrington Institute is honored for helping dozens of homeless people and addicts recover. She takes the stage with a serene smile, wearing a simple but elegant black dress. The woman who once begged on street corners is now a figure of respect and inspiration. As she receives the award, Rachel glances at the audience filled with business leaders and influential personalities. In a distant corner, she spots Elliot observing from afar. He is unrecognizable, wearing a shabby suit and looking defeated. Their eyes meet for a brief moment. He doesn't smile, he doesn't protest. He just lowers his head and disappears into the crowd. Rachel feels a wave of relief. There is no more anger, no need for revenge. She has won, but not for the reasons she imagined at the beginning. She won because she chose to become someone better. Leaving the event, Rachel walks through the streets with the same alertness she once had when she lived on them. But now, instead of searching for survival, she looks for opportunities to help others. She comes across a man sitting on the ground, holding a sign that reads, "Hungry, need help." Rachel stops in front of him, looks him in the eye, and kneels down. Rachel, speaking gently, "It's okay, trust me, I know how you feel." She extends her hand and helps the man to his feet. This is a story not just of fortune or revenge, but of quiet and profound redemption. Rachel chose to break the cycle of deceit and hatred, and by doing so, she found a purpose that no amount of money could buy. As Rachel walks through the city streets, she does so as someone truly free. Rachel's story is about how life can change unexpectedly, lifting someone from rock bottom to the possibility of redemption. The true treasure wasn't the suitcase full of money, but the discovery of who she could become. The initial lie turned into something deeper, an emotional truth that gave Benjamin's life meaning and offered Rachel a chance to start over. And what about you? If you were given a second chance to change your life completely, what would you do? Like Rachel, sometimes we are led by unexpected situations that make us question who we are and who we can become. What changes can you make today to become the best version of yourself? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs inspiration. Never underestimate the power of a positive message. Now, we want to hear from you. What would you do in Rachel's place? Would you accept Benjamin's proposal? Comment below and share your thoughts with us. If you enjoyed this emotional story, subscribe to our channel Kollobe Inspired Stories for more heartwarming content that makes us reflect on life. Thank you for watching until the end. It's amazing to share these stories and connect people around the world with meaningful messages. At Kollobe Inspired Stories, we believe in the power of storytelling to change lives. Here you'll find stories of overcoming, love, mystery, and redemption. Our goal is to move and inspire. Remember, it's never too late to start over. See you in the next video. Until then.